You deserve a strong voice in politics, and Youth Parliament gives you a great opportunity to choose who you want to have as your representative in front of the politicians governing our lives. But who am I? Why should you vote for me? What do I believe in? Please stick with me as I, Reese, delve into my background and beliefs. For 5 of the last 7 years, we have had no government. For 5 of the last 7 years, we have had zero representation in the Assembly we were promised in the Good Friday Agreement. For 5 of the last 7 years, both Sinn Féin and the DUP have caused serious long-term damage to this country. Be it Sinn Féin refusing to go into government during some of the hardest political times in decades, or the DUP denying us any help during the incredibly harsh cost of living crisis, plunging working parents into poverty, reliant on food banks and charity donations. Working people. While the rest of the UK were able to get support, we were left to drown while the DUP threw the toys out the pram over a sea border, while children went to bed hungry and pensioners lived in buses for heat. How can we expect to progress Northern Ireland when every other year it comes grinding to a halt? How do we expect to improve Northern Ireland when 40% of the time we don't have a government? When we elect our MLAs, we deserve for them to serve the public for the full 5 years, not just every now and then. This needs to stop. Never again should one party deny us our right to a government. And in the words of Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, former leader of the DUP, the very same man who has kept us out for 2 of those years, it is wrong that one party, representing maybe 25% of the people, can veto the establishment of a government. Politicians love to talk about the economy, but what does the economy look like for us as young people? Well, it's the availability of our Adidas t-shirts, our iPhone 15s and our Rolex watches. It's the price of our basic goods, our food and our drinks. If you're looking to move out of the house into university, it's your rent, your electricity, your heating. It defines what part-time jobs you will and will not be able to get. But what forms the economy? Businesses, big and small. Whether it's the large multinationals at the Boulevard or Rushmere employing 40, 50, 60 plus people at a time, or the small family-run businesses that line our high streets, giving us a wonderful sense of community. These must be protected and investment encouraged to give jobs and wealth to our local communities. Here I am in the council estate that I actually live in. The entrance is completely normal. Nothing exciting except for the fun little sign warning parents about the threat drug dealers pose to their children. Children that haven't even left primary school. They prey on them for their evil, selfish goals, tearing apart communities like mine for the sole purpose of feeding their insatiable greed. But nothing's done about them. How is this acceptable? Imagine your little brother, your little sister or cousin getting forced into this awful lifestyle before they've had any sense of life. I know the pain this causes. I will fight for it to stop and for the hard policies needed to truly make a difference. But to put a very complicated solution simply, you need to rehabilitate the drug addicts, not force them into prison, giving them a conviction making them completely unemployable. That causes the very thing that puts them in prison in the first place, setting them up to reoffend and cost yet more taxpayer money for an unachievable goal. This needs to end and this needs to change. Murals and memorials like this are incredibly damaging to our deeply divided society. That is, in part, celebrating the Provisional IRA, which murdered nearly 2,000 people indiscriminately. British Army, Loyalist paramilitary or innocent civilian. It didn't matter. It is my wholehearted belief that with proper historical and political education in these severely deprived areas, the breeding grounds of paramilitarism, This glorification on both sides of the awful people that caused so much suffering for 30 years can be overcome. And, paired with shared and integrated education programs, true reconciliation can come to our communities and bring them together, gradually bringing an end to this extreme toxicity still present in our society. Speaking of education, is there a more outdated system? It was designed over 200 years ago to create millions of perfectly obedient factory workers and soldiers. Workers who will live their whole working life by a bell telling them what to do, where to go at what time and when they can leave. Soldiers who would follow a commander's orders without second thought or hesitation. Seem familiar? Because that's how school still works today. Rows upon rows upon rows of children taught the exact same things in the exact same way at the exact same speed. But that's not how society works today. Today, we need individuals who can think freely and critically to innovate and push society forwards. Instead, students feel lost, treated as the smallest cogs in the largest machines. School needs to focus again on the individual to bring out the best in them. It's what society needs. It's what the student needs. It's what the world needs. We are so frequently told how climate change is such an existential threat. Droughts causing famines across the world, rising sea levels threatening to put entire countries below the waves, and storms and hurricanes causing billions of pounds in damage and killing hundreds. We see the effects of climate change every single year right here in Lough Neagh, where every summer it violently algal blooms, threatening water supply to 40% of households in Northern Ireland in the biggest freshwater lake in the UK. Yet global action continually lags behind. We cannot let this continue. I will gladly join the mass movement of young people across the world in telling politicians to get stuff done to change. Now, I'm not going to pretend that me campaigning on this issue will change the minds of global leaders. But that's not what matters. What matters is the whole of our generation continually and persistently spreading our strong messages to politicians, telling them we demand action on climate change because we care about the climate. It's the world we will be inheriting when we are older. These messages from mental health charities are here for a reason. In my community, and far too many like it, mental health is undoubtedly the biggest struggle. It spawns from poverty and lack of opportunities and is perpetuated by the ever-growing drug crisis. Suicide rates have more than doubled in the ABC borough from 2018 to 2020, and Craigavon, my hometown, has it the worst. This has only increased post-COVID. I know far too many young people who have had severe mental health issues to turn a blind eye to this epidemic. Attention must be drawn to it and something must be done. We have lost far too many young people to this crisis. Enough is enough. So those are my main ideas and promises to you. I am not afraid to stick up for my beliefs or the beliefs of my voters. And I will not simply blend in with the other candidates and offer you the same things you have heard a million times. And that is why I will be your strong voice in Parliament. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, or if you see me, absolutely feel free to just come up and ask away. I promise I will answer them the best I can. Thank you, and remember to vote Reese Green for Youth Parliament.